So hi there, welcome to lesson one. Create preparing data for checks. And that's the fundamental principle we have to put at the back of our minds. Basically preparing data for check. So here we're just trying to try and build a foundation again of the concept. And it's very important that you have an understanding of what you do, why you do it, so that when you get into the tough waters, everything will be clear. I can tell you for certain that I work till this very day on very complex data, but these simple fundamental principles have kept me focused at every point in time. So no matter how complex this data is, and I really want you to put it in the comments if you have worked with complex data, if you needed to follow these steps. With complex data, it has to have a raw form. You have to do some creation or preparation. You have to check it, and then you have to clean it, and then you're ready to analyze it or review it, or do whatever you want to do with data that will give you credible feedback. So we are on that first level, after the raw data, which is called create data, and we're just basically preparing data for check. Now, the best analogy to use is just looking at this dark space, and this happens sometimes when you come into your room. When after a hard day's work, everywhere is dark. So the purpose of data preparation or data creation, as I call it here, is just to bring in some light. So I'm very, very sure that you must have had data that is just looking all crazy, but you now need to have a reference point. You need to have a strategy to start intervening. So someone just sent data to you. Your first job is switch on the light. And even if you're cleaning up your room, just imagine cleaning up your room at night. So the first thing to do is the lights must be on. And that's basically what preparation does. It allows you to put on the lights, and in that way, you are able to find out what needs attention. When you switch on the light, you know that, oh, the kitchen is dirty, or the furniture needs dusting. So we need a measure of light in our data, and that's what data creation does. Now, there are a couple of activities, and these are tied to commands. We talked about commands in module 2. So what these things do, all these activities we are doing in this module, is just to help us understand the data more clearly. Also, we are able to do numeric calculations. Now, there are certain things you need to find mean, median, mode. If the data, for example, is in a form where you cannot find the mean and median and mode, you have to do it. If it's supposed to be a number, but it's a string, you have to make it a number. The same thing with strings. If it's supposed to be a string, but it's a number, you have to make it a string. And then if it's a date, but it's supposed to be a date, but it's not a date, you have to make it a date. Now, what I basically mean by that is uh, the data sometimes comes in a form that you cannot get information from it. So you need to structure it in a way that you can. Some data comes with dates that you cannot use for date processing. So for example, you want to know the distance between the end date and the start date, but they come in strings. So you cannot do analysis until the data has been transformed into a form that can give you information. So I'll take that again. Data has to be transformed into a form that can give you information. So that's the goal. Complete. So in order to do this, achieve these objectives, these are the basic activities that we will do in this module. First, we will label the variables. So there are variables in our data set. Sometimes when they come from the server or from whatever data sources, we mentioned data sources, routine data, or came from an Excel spreadsheet, the variables sometimes are not understood. Remember, I told you variables are basically the attributes. What does age mean? Age could be height, age could be something else. What does L mean? Or, so some things need clarity. So all variables or all attributes need to be labeled. Just, best practices when you are managing data. And then we're going to have variables to be formatted. So we know we had numeric formatting, we had date formatting, we have string formatting. So it's going to be in a form that we can do some processing. And then most of the times in preparing your data, sometimes you may need to create what we call new variables. And then we're also going to save. So these are the things that we're going to do basically in Module 1. We label, we format, and then we create new variables and we save. Now it just looks so, simple, but the labeling activities are, are tied to the variables and what we call the value sets. We're going to do that shortly. So all these kind of things are the things we will need. Now I just want to give you a basic framework of how data is. And please put in the mind that we said data came in different forms, three basic forms. We talked about date form, we talked about numeric, we talked about string. So you may want to go back to module 1 to establish all these things. So name and surname are basically string. But gender, where one is male and two is female, they're categorical. Remember, one is yes and two is no. And then the birth date or date of birth, you know, is supposed to be a date. But sometimes it comes out as a string. And registration code, I'm just looking at the basic form that generates data. And then favorite sports year of graduation is numeric, 2002, 2023, all that kind of stuff. Lawn tennis, volleyball, football, basketball, all that stuff. There's a form like that you fill. And then total donation in dollars is supposed to be a number, but dollars. So there must be, some formatting to do. So basically, this is the kind of just basic information that you find, and these are the kind of things we will build around in our our journey in Module 3. So I hope this is very, very clear. We're going to see you in lesson 2, where we'll take on the very first command, and I'm so excited to be leading you in this journey. So see you in the next lesson. Thank you.